Hello and welcome to another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. I am your host, Jose on the mic, and with me as always is the lovely, amazing dancer, May. How are you doing?
I am great today. I'm very excited about our guest.
You look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, our guest looks fabulous.
She does.
Yes, she does. Everybody, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Meena Mccullough. How are you doing, young lady?
I'm doing very well today. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. So, since we got the doctor bit in, what exactly do you practice?
I am a doctor of physical therapy. I've been practicing for almost 8 years now.
Really? Listen, I got this problem with the shoulder. I'm going to have to talk after this.
Maybe after the podcast. Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to help you.
Absolutely. I like that.
And I did want to have you on the podcast for many reasons. And one of the reasons is physical therapy and dancing. This goes really hand in hand.
Physical therapy with everything. I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. So we definitely wanted to talk to you about that, pick your brain about that. I will say, though, I do know you from the dance studio. And I know you as Meena. Not Dr. Meena Mccullough, but as Meena.
We had to get the professional bit.
Yes, no, that's really important. I will say you are one of my favorite students. Yes. And
so is that a blush?
And I will tell you why, because I feel like you are really respectful and pay attention, and you gather information from any teacher that I see you with. So she, arrives early to class and warms up, and
nice.
But she just really gets so much from a class, and so I really appreciate that. So when I was teaching some classes that she was in, I felt like it made me a better teacher because somebody was interested and asking questions and engaging, and so I feel like it made me.
It's the discipline of being a doctor.
Maybe so. What do you think? Because I don't think you know what a nice and wonderful student you are. Maybe. People may have told you. You let me know.
No, actually, you're the first person to tell me that.
Really?
I've developed relationships with a lot of my teachers, and I'm very thankful for the quality of teachers that we have here in DFW. I think part of that is definitely I guess like you said, Jose, a doctor-like mentality.
Yeah, the discipline that you have to have.
Mm-hmm. But it also comes down to just having a passion for what you do and to follow your dreams, to follow what it is you like to learn, and to make it a priority.
Makes sense.
Because as adults get older, a lot of times they don't make their passions a priority. So I think you're just seeing me live out my passions, and this is what naturally happens. And I do have so much respect for the dance community and dance teachers, because as a physical therapist, I have a doctoral degree in movement science. So technically I'm an expert in movement science. However, dance teachers has taught me so much more than I even learned in school. So to see this profession of movers who can move so well versus the physical therapy profession who a lot of people can move extremely well, but a lot of times we talk about it a lot. But to actually practice it and embody the movement itself is something that is very special to dance and athletics in general, but dance because the movement is so fine-tuned. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you saying that. Like that is very sweet and very kind.
It's true.
Because you don't hear that type of compliment about yourself all the time reflected back to you on a daily basis. Usually it's, something about, you're usually thinking something about what's on your to-do list, or something that you haven't done or you need to do. So I really appreciate that compliment, and I love being in your class. I feel like your classes bring a sense of femininity, and I like the way you teach lead follow, and I like how you're very patient with the students. Anybody who wants to learn anything, just very patient with your explanations and
this one?
All of your dance experience. Yeah, that's how I view her, yes.
I get a different version of it out here. On this
I promise
floor,
I'll be patient, more patient.
on this floor, it's a little bit different for me. Yeah. So I was like, this one.
It's always different with family and significant others. I realize that with the family dynamic and physical therapy as well.
It doesn't change.
So I want to talk about your passion for dancing. And I'm going to talk about your wedding. Yeah. So, because I think you have a really interesting and wonderful relationship with your husband. But let's talk about your wedding dance for a moment. Because it's interesting.
Are you talking about the flash mob dance?
Yes.
Okay.
Flash mob
At your wedding, right?
At my wedding, yes. So,
Oh, wow. That'd be interesting. Make sure to get video of that.
So this was when I got married, I just first started dancing again. I danced in elementary school, and then as an adult, I discovered it again in my early 30s. So I was planning my wedding as I discovered dance, and I desperately wanted to do some amazing dance at my wedding. However, my husband is fully supportive, but not a dancer.
Yes.
So
There we go.
that was kind of ex-nay from the possibility. So I got my girlfriends together to do a flash mob. And the flash mob was actually a choreographed dance to a mix of songs that we did, and it was to surprise my husband. And so he didn't know about it. And we created a video. I choreographed a dance. I sent it out all over the country to all of my bridesmaids to learn it. Of course, they got there on the day of the rehearsal, and only half of them knew half of it. So they practiced like crazy because they wanted to support me in my vision. And I was so excited to unleash this surprise to my husband. And he read the wedding plan right as right before the wedding started that day. So he figured out that there was going to be a flash mob right before I did it. And so I was pretty upset about that. I actually cried about that. But
Damn it, somebody let the cat out of the bag.
But then it was okay, because even though he had read there was going to be a surprise flash mob, it said, like, "Don't tell Nate" in all caps locks. I probably shouldn't have put that in all capital letters for him to see it if he so happened to run across the wedding plan. But when he saw it, he said he was still surprised, because he had no idea how much effort and work and artistry went into it. So
All the effort that went into this?
yeah,
That's kind of cool.
I think that's so
he
much
cried
fun.
too. That was one of the. I probably shouldn't say that on camera. That was.
Too
He
late.
didn't cry. I mean, but
But it sounded good.
but it was touching. It was a touching moment in our wedding. It was a very special wedding.
Good. So talking about other very special and not that that's strange, but I want to go to Emerald Ball, because you did participate in the Emerald Ball this
absolutely.
year, which is so crazy that it was here in Dallas, Texas.
Well, California was shut down, so.
Well, yes. But what did you think about? What did you think about the Emerald Ball here? Had you ever been to the Emerald Ball before?
I've never been to the Emerald Ball, and the fact that it was in DFW was the biggest treat of my life.
Yes.
I mean, I'm very competitive, and me and my partner, Michael Doak, we had been waiting to do a competition, amateur, for the whole year of COVID. So when Emerald Ball announced they were in DFW, my heart dropped, and
You grabbed your shoes.
Yeah, and my shoes dropped too. And my skirt, and I was just, I was so excited. It was a gorgeous event. It was
awesome.
It was the best competition. It was my first competition.
Wow.
And so I did my first competition as amateur, and not
That
many
was your
people
first
know that about
competition?
me. Yeah, not
Wow.
many people know that about me.
I didn't know that.
That's a heck of a competition to
Wow,
start
for your first competition. That is so exciting.
There you go.
So you're spoiled now. You know that, right?
That's what everyone tells me. Yes.
with. Wayne and Donna, they put on a hell of a show. That's a fact.
And I will tell you, and you can agree with this, because I'm sure you will, that they really took everything that they usually do in LA, that
just
they've
brought it
had
here.
for over 30 years,
Yeah,
and then
brought it here.
boop, put it in Dallas. So it's a really great snapshot, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
of what normally happens. And it's amazing to walk into that ballroom and how all the details and how beautiful it is. But you tell me, what was your experience?
Oh, I felt like Cinderella. And I've been to other competitions before. I've performed at other competitions, but I had never competed amateur
This is so exciting.
in this competition.
Yeah.
So
Hadn't competed Pro-Am before either?
I've never competed Pro-Am. I actually had this mentality that I wanted to learn with a partner that was also learning.
Okay.
And then whatever we put out on the dance floor was some type of, work that we had done as amateurs. And, we're not, even though Pro-Am students are great, I feel like you can get better faster. But we just wanted that grassroots feel of being able to practice when we wanted to, being able to call our shots with, when we competed. And we have a really great coach, Ryan Lewis, who has kind of allowed that space for that to happen, which was just a really cool thing of how that came together.
Right.
Yeah.
How exciting. That is so exciting. So you had some beautiful pictures.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who took those pictures? You had it on Facebook from Emerald Ball.
Yeah. Who took the pictures? We actually got pictures from some of the Emerald Ball photography, and then Haroon, actually like a local guy he just takes pictures for fun. He doesn't do it professionally. He doesn't charge money. He just loves dance. Again, another person with a passion for dance and knows how important it is for artists to capture that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this was a first
on the stage.
So that was so important.
Exactly. Because dance is not something that you can say, like a piece of actual art where you can say, look and see what I did. It's, fleeting. And so to get those pictures was so valuable.
I love it. I love it. So what did you like about Emerald Ball?
The chandeliers.
So you really just feel
all
like
the dancing, all the costumes. The bulbs.
chandelier.
The chandeliers.
One thing that I did like was they put the amateur at night, and they really set the atmosphere at night. I feel like they made it seem just, even though there's no windows in the ballroom, it seemed just a little bit more elevated, elegant, wonderful atmosphere. The people, I met actually one of the organizers. I was getting my makeup done, and he just came in and he started joking with the makeup artist, and I had no idea that he was the guy behind all of it. And so just to see his friendly demeanor, it's Wayne, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, to see his friendly demeanor.
That guy's amazing.
Yeah. And he just has the best sense of humor, and was just, you can tell he's done this before. He's a true pro because he's just calm, cool, and collected, and going around making the rounds, making sure everybody has what they want and everyone has a smile on their face. So I was really, really impressed with Wayne.
Nice.
So him and his wife Donna, amazing,
They do
absolutely amazing people. They really, when you go to their show, their comps, it's literally it's like family. They make you feel like your family.
Very approachable.
Very approachable.
Yes. Big Dave is visiting.
Oh,
our
visiting.
podcast.
Yes. Sorry, you guys
Chihuahua.
can't see him.
He's so cute.
So, tell me what made you decide to get into physical therapy?
I actually was on a mission to solve my own pain problems.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of
Self-help. I like
self-help. Yes,
I like it.
that's how a lot of the best solutions are born.
That's it. Solve it yourself.
Solve it yourself, because you know what? No one else is going to solve it for you. Not the way you need it solved.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I actually had this mysterious thing go on, and I had diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and basically it was just a wastebasket diagnosis for having multiple pain in multiple areas of your body, and they didn't know why. I had
And that's
run
such
a lot of tests.
mysterious thing, this fibromyalgia thing.
Yeah,
It's like a mystery to me.
right. And it's even a mystery to the people who diagnose it, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's okay to say they're guessing. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, that's kind of the general behind the scenes also in the medical community, the understanding.
Wow.
It's considered there's a term called wastebasket diagnosis. It's when they try to rule out everything else, try to do all the blood work, workups, and they just can't explain why. And it's a hard diagnosis because a lot of times people that get told oh, you're, just depressed, or you just need to have fun, or, just all sorts of things.
Yeah, have a drink, have some wine.
Right, which is probably a good idea if you get that diagnosis for that day to cope. But
and you're hearing this from a professional. Okay, I just want you to know
said
this.
that day only.
That day.
Oh, okay, I missed that part. My bad.
Yes, I'm very much so a health advocate, but I also believe in moderation and, relaxation. I mean, sometimes in the world, there's all sorts of opinions out there. So trying to cope with all of the different opinions when you have a medical problem is really very difficult. So now that I'm treating patients, I can use that empathy, basically, that I once have, and a lot of my medical knowledge just from going through it myself. But dance, that's kind of a segue into how I got into physical therapy and how I got into dance is married in a lot of ways, those two concepts. I got into physical therapy to help solve my problems. And so kind of what you noticed in my dance classes, I sat through every class, paid attention to every micro piece of information.
You sure do.
Proper student.
Mm-hmm.
And tried to link it to other things that I knew and problems that I might be able to solve for myself. So learning anatomy, I know my anatomy very well because of it, going into the lab, looking at the cadavers, studying physiology, studying out all the whys, taking advantage of office hours. Anybody who's going to school, take advantage of your office hours. Your professors love that, and they will give you all of the information that you could ever dream of and more, and maybe answers to questions on the test.
Oh, there you go.
So anybody who's studying for a higher education, use office hours. Very beneficial. But same with dance, talking to your teachers about dance, because teachers are teaching because they're teaching something that they love, and they want to impart that information onto you. So solving my own problem was what got me into it, and just this idea of being able to heal someone with your hands.
Oh, yeah.
Just thinking about that simple phrase was kind of magical when I first started to think about the profession.
I love that. I want to go back to your fibromyalgia diagnosis. I feel like sometimes when people get diagnosed with that, then they, I know the word I'm looking for, but like resign to it, maybe?
Like a victim to it, or?
Yeah, kind of like, okay, that's what's wrong with me, and I can't do anything about it.
Yes, that does happen. And one thing that I noticed about myself is I never accepted that diagnosis. Not that I don't want this to be necessarily controversial, because I accept and acknowledge everyone's way of thinking about and going about their life when they come through a hard circumstance. Everybody has different ways of coping with it, and I think that's very healthy and normal. But for me, I didn't accept it. I pushed on to learn more, and even through my physical therapy career, I didn't learn enough. So I kept learning. And one of the ways that I kept learning was through dance. And I initially entered dance to help with just happiness. I used to dance when I was younger, and I love it. I love the expression of dance. I love that dancers have to tell a story. I love the feeling of finding new places in your body that movement brings you. Everything about dance is amazing. So learning more about the body through dance, and not just seeing it as a way to move for mental health, but that through technique, through proper technique in areas, I could actually, lubricate my joints, help my joints. And even if I couldn't do the technique properly, I could have strategies basically to help strengthen myself in those areas while I learn to do the technique properly, or while I'm still learning to do the technique properly, to protect those areas so I can continue to do what it is that I love, to continue this quality of life that I have. And now proudly I can say that I rarely ever have pain.
That's nice.
And it's been a long journey to probably talk about all of that would be like a whole nother series of podcasts. But it's been a journey, and I can't tell you how much dance and physical therapy together have helped. So I really try to marry the two whenever possible.
Yes. Very
Well, I can
cool.
see that. Yeah. I mean, you study the body and the movement of the body, and so that they're basically the same thing. And you just, okay, I know it here. Now I just have to, do it here.
Right.
So, yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Right. But you don't see a lot of people doing it. And so I just
not very many people have your knowledge of the body like you do. So
That's true.
Right, and so you are really, I'm sure, trying to inform your clients, patients on how to do that and keep movement going. I've been watching your little videos with your patients on Facebook and how their testimonies, how they came in feeling a certain amount of pain, and then really in one visit, several of them have felt relief, which is, I'm sure they're so excited, and that's amazing. I want to talk about, and it will be a little controversial too, because I know we often will send people and insist that they try physical therapy before they do surgery. And so give an example of an injury that people tend to quickly go to surgery when they really could possibly have 100% results with physical therapy.
That's a really good subject and topic, and that is definitely near and dear to my heart.
there we go.
I don't talk about it too often because it can be controversial. And like I've said before, I don't ever want somebody to think that I don't recognize that there's different ways of doing things.
Okay, fair enough. You've said it.
I'm trying to be the politician.
That being said, pay attention.
I think that there's a couple things that come into play. One thing is definitely, some people say, well, I've tried physical therapy already and it didn't work. That's one thing I hear a lot. I'll circle back around to the most common injuries for that, but that's the first thing that came to my mind when I tell people usually, hey, try physical therapy first. They'll say I've tried it. Mm-hmm. And one thing that is tough for consumers and patients is you have to find the right person.
Yes.
Whether they're a physical therapist or another body practitioner, although obviously I have an affinity to physical therapists. We do have a doctoral level education in movement science, many cadaver labs. As far as I know, in the medical industry and otherwise, we have the greatest education as far as body movement goes as a profession. But with that being said, you have to go to someone, that you can relate with, that you can connect with.
Yes.
That may be not the most important factor, but the most important factor might be someone who really knows what they're doing and talking about, someone who can spend the time with you. And then 3, you have to be open to what it is they're doing and give it a chance. Yeah. And some of it's trial and error. So even as a physical therapist, it is definitely the practice of physical therapy and the practice of medicine. We're still practicing as well, just like dancers practice. So go back to that PT or that practitioner, give them feedback on what you liked about what you did, what you didn't like about you did. I always tell people,
give up on it.
Instead of just give up, you have to find the right person that's going to be receptive to that type of feedback and, challenge them back, because you're the only person inside of your body. We can look and we can see, and some of us have very good observation skills, and we've studied this for a very long time, taken very many courses, great techniques, but at the end of the day, you're the only one that feels what's going on inside of your body.
Yes.
So you're the best person to be your own advocate, to come back, say, you know what, this thing that we did is working, but this might not be. Another thing that people do sometimes is they take everything and they do it together in physical therapy. They don't section out, hey, this one movement helped, but this one movement didn't. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of cultivation of body awareness. But the beautiful thing about working with somebody like a dancer is they bring that to therapy. They bring a certain level of body awareness, which then makes you a prime candidate to work even better with your therapist or body movement worker, because you have that baseline knowledge and you should share that with them, because you want someone who's not going to be like, oh no, that's not true, I know the truth. You want to find somebody that's going to be like,
listen, who's the one in pain here?
Right, yeah, you want somebody to be like, I know what I know and I want to help you, and give me feedback on what we're doing, because that matters, and that might matter most, or very, very high up. So back pain.
Yes.
Back pain is something that so there are surgeries that are more successful than other surgeries. So I see a lot of post-operative patients. I see a lot of people just in chronic pain that don't know why, or old injuries that haven't fully healed. But I also see a lot of post-op. And in general, back surgeries is a tough surgery, because the likelihood that you're going to have success is much lower than some of the other surgeries out there.
It's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's why I don't have them cutting on me at all.
Mm-hmm. And your spinal cord runs through your spine. Any type of spinal surgery, whether it's your neck, I consider your neck also your back. Mm-hmm. So just anywhere in the spine where there's a lot of muscles, there's a lot of nerves, of course, a lot of bones. And then after your body settles, you tend to get pain in the segment above or below, if not the segment that you're having it. And then dysfunction, like we call referred pain, to other parts of your body as well. Now, like I said, with that being said, there's always a caveat. So there are always people that absolutely need back surgery, something
Sure.
like central spinal stenosis, where the whole spinal cord is at risk of basically being compressed, stuff like that. But even when you have shooting pain down your leg and you have an MRI that shows a compressed nerve, there's been many MRI studies that have shown that you can take a person who is in no pain off the streets and do an MRI, and they might show a compressed nerve on their MRI.
That's interesting.
Versus somebody who's in pain might not even show a compressed MRI, and they're in excruciating pain. So what I tell people about MRIs is it's the best imaging that we have to look inside the body. If we had like a microscope or like a see-through machine, like an X-ray that shows all of the soft tissues, but it doesn't show the whole picture. It doesn't show what's going on actively, physiologically in the body. It also doesn't show all of the reasons we have pain and all of the reasons we don't have pain, which is called sensitivity. And that's another conversation about like how accurate tests are. But it's the best thing that we have, and we should definitely go by it. But it's not always accurate to what you see in the MRI versus what's going on in your body. Mm-hmm. So to say, slip disc, MRI equals back surgery, equals, a lot of times people say, I tried PT. Well, yeah, maybe you went to a clinic where sometimes they mostly use techs to do some of the exercises. A lot of times these are high school students, new college graduates without training, and these clinics are trying to get by because reimbursements go down. So this is all the insider information that I'm giving now.
Yes, don't peer behind the curtain, for God's sake.
But, all practitioners, I feel like in general, we get into it because we want to help people, and we do. But it takes a savvy consumer just to get the best help possible. Mm-hmm. So I think just help yourself and be your best patient advocate.
Take control. I love that you're saying that. Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you, because I've had doctors that I've fired before.
You're fired.
Yes.
I'm done with you.
And some doctors fire patients too, to be fair.
No one is above the law, apparently.
Yes, and it's because I have had such great doctors that I know what's possible.
Right.
And explanations of everything that I had a wonderful doctor. She passed away, but I learned so much about taking control of things because she gave so much information prior to his surgery that I had. I was so thankful for it. It's like a thick pamphlet and what to do before, after, every little thing, like don't take clothes out of the dryer. And I was like, oh wow, that seems like a very innocent thing that wouldn't hurt. But I was, okay. Anyway, I was really appreciative of a doctor. So really you are also recommending get a second opinion if you've tried physical therapy with one. Maybe it's not a good fit, like a dance instructor, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes this is not a good fit and you want to make sure that you feel like people are hearing you, the doctor is listening.
I have done the same
Right.
thing.
Second and maybe even third and fourth opinion.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's like you say, you have to find the one that fits you.
Right.
Because I've gone to chiropractors before, and I'm like, and they did good work.
But they were great,
it just didn't work for me.
Right.
I still send them people.
Yes.
Yes, I still send them people. So I believe in what they're doing. It's just,
Right.
it just didn't work out for me.
Right, absolutely. And not everything's for everybody. And I think, but I just want to also make the caveat that you should stick with somebody for an amount of time to see what it
give it a
is,
chance.
to give it a chance.
One time at physical therapy isn't enough.
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
not.
exactly. So I do get short-term results, and it's because of techniques that I use. But I do it because I know sometimes people need to feel that buy-in at that initial visit if they're skeptical. So luckily, I've done enough study and research and practice to where I can do that now. I don't get success with everybody, the first time. But the more I practice, the better it gets. But the thing is it's about repeating what it was that gets that short-term result, because that short-term result doesn't last. But what I tell them is if we can get a short-term result, that's usually the hardest part, to figure out what helps you the most. Because many people search many years to try and figure out what helps you the most. So if you can get to a practitioner that can see it in you immediately, that's going to speed up the time to figure out what's going to help you the most. Because like as you said, Jose, there's some great practitioners out there, but they might not just be for you.
Yeah, they don't fit you, and it's, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just like I said, I send them people all the time.
Right.
I'm like, hey, you got to go try these guys out. Trust me, they'll work out for you because it's of what you have. Okay, and so if like sports-related injury or something like that, it's like you go to these people down there. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
But like I said, it didn't work for me.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So do you think that there is a particular type of person or patient that you do really well with, that gravitates towards you? Or do you have all different walks of life?
My favorite patients are patients that are motivated, of course, right? We all have motivated patients.
That helps.
And patients that really need a true problem solver, that are willing to work with somebody who will take the time to problem solve their issue. Sometimes post-op surgeries, or people that have had extensive multiple surgeries, are a little bit harder to work with, but I problem solve them in a different way. My favorite people are just people who want to get back to a sport sometimes. Maybe, someone who's in maybe dance, someone who is in similar situation as I was. We all relate to people who we feel we have something in common with.
Sure.
So, like for me, it was so hard for me to be able to dance in heels. I'm like, I want to do this beautiful Latin dancing. I want to try and, wear this beautiful dress out on this beautiful floor to compete, but it's like you can't if your feet hurt, right? I mean, so...
Foot pain is bad.
Yeah, so that was one of the big challenges I've overcome from beginning dance to now, is like now I can do 3-hour practices in my stupid dance heels. And but when I first started, I couldn't spend 10 minutes. I never wore heels. So just somebody who wants a problem solver, who will take the time to try something different and new. My techniques are based off of a lot of new sciences, and it's because I had to find the new neurofascia, if anyone's heard of fascia sciences, to help myself best, rather than doing the tried and true stuff that I was trying. So somebody who's open to something new.
I like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dr. Meena knows her stuff.
She does know her stuff. And again, it's like you said, you got to be able to, you got to want it. If you're going to, just healing of the, look, I know the exercises, they suck, but you got to do them. And the person that says, okay, hey, let's get to it, let the healing begin. You're like, okay, that's my guy.
Yeah, well, see, I try to tell patients, I don't want to give you an exercise that you think sucks, because it's about a feeling that you have in your body. And if most people, what I find, if I give them a targeted exercise that they feel good doing and they are mentally aware, oh, this is helping me immediately, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even if, say, a physical therapy program might typically be 15 exercises, I might give you 3, because these 3 are going to be the biggest impact in your life. These 3 you're going to enjoy doing because you're going to like the feeling you get when you do them. And that's where I feel like a lot of practitioners go wrong, is they'll treat, your arm went this high before and now it goes this high, so now we have success, which is a measure that we can measure. It's very important to measure those things.
Range of motion?
Range of motion, exactly. But when it comes down to it, it's the feeling that the patient gets while they're doing the treatment and after, long-term and short-term results. And it all goes back to how the patient is perceiving their feeling to be. And so that's where the science of fascia comes in. And that's the cutting edge of, I feel like, where therapy is going to go in the next 10 years, but it hasn't quite gotten there yet.
Just getting going.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
There we go. Mm-hmm. We're learning by leaps and bounds here today.
I know.
Who knew? Beauty and brains. I like it. All right. Well, we're going to have to. We'd love to keep on going with this.
There will be a podcast number 2.
We'll definitely have to bring her back.
Meena Mccullough.
Man, I tell you what, this is a lab right here in the making.
Very interesting.
The lovely Meena, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I feel like time just flew by.
Yes, it did. Oh, by the way, here's your chance for your shameless plug. Where is your office?
Okay. I am located in Irving at Physical Therapy Now. Also, watch out because I'm starting my own company, and I want to expand to help more people. I am a product developer, developing and paving the way for fascia treatment.
So great.
Outstanding. All right. Again, the lovely Meena.
Thank you.
May.
Thank you so much, Jose.
All right.
Wonderful.
All right, folks. So this has been another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. Thank you for watching.